Welcome back to Unknown and Talented. My name is Jalon Abrams. Today I have the host of Sorry for What podcast, Mack So Wavy. What's up? How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I've been doing pretty. So I've been following you for a little bit, watching your podcast, watching your posts. Definitely intrigued to know what goes behind, making that podcast because I know it's fairly new. You're about episode 20.
23. Oh, so I just posted episode 23, but like in all actuality, I just shot episode 26 last night. So
Hey.
it's like I'm like ahead by 3. So
Okay,
yeah.
that's what's up. I love it. I love it. So what I want you to do first is just for you to introduce yourself because I have a bunch of questions, but I just want to make sure you tell the audience exactly who you are, just in case I miss anything.
Of course. My name is Mack So Wavy. I'm the host of Sorry for What podcast. Like I said, I'm on episode 26, so fairly new to it, but that is what I do. I'm also the owner of Wavy Caps. As you can see, I have a hat on. That's pretty much me. I'm located in like Tampa, Florida, so I really want to say I'm like from Florida, but from New York at the same time. But yeah, that's me.
Okay. So hold on. You said you're from New York. What part of New York?
From the Bronx. I moved from the Bronx when I was like 9, though. So
Okay. So
like I'm from there, but I've been in Florida for so long. I'm really from here.
I feel you. I have a similar story. So I'm originally from New York. I moved when I was pretty much around your age as well to North Carolina. So
Okay.
I still have a New York number. So people are like, hold on, you're from New York? I'm like, I'm not. I'm born there, but I'm from
Right.
North Carolina. But it's like I go there because my family still goes there. So it's still like,
Exactly. And it's like all my family is so New York based. So like I have older brother, older sister. My older sister still lives in New York actually,
mm,
but all of my family is so New York that when people meet me, they be like, "I can tell you from New York," and I'm like, kind of. Like it depends, like on what you mean. So
yeah.
yeah.
Now it's funny. Like when I talk to some people, sometimes they say, "Are you from up north?" I hear an accent. Cause you said you're from North Carolina. I said, I don't know how you still hear accent to be real with you, but if you hear accent,
Right.
it's an accent. Whatever. It is what it is.
And that's the same thing I think. Like all my friends in New York tell me, all my family there tells me I'm country. But then when I come here, everybody tells me I'm so New York. So I guess it's just a balance. I guess I don't know.
Nah, that's funny. That's funny. But let's get talking about Sorry for What podcast. Explain
Okay.
exactly what that is.
So Sorry for What podcast is pretty much a podcast created for, I feel like, for people who want to say things that everybody else is thinking, but they don't want to say it because they don't want to be the person to say it. So I kind of just create a lane. If you've seen the episodes of it, you see my co-host Dre. He's like very outspoken. He says things that I'm sure a million people think, but no one will ever really say it on the platform. And that's just the kind of things that I always that I admire about people. Basically, I guess I'm the kind of person who everything that someone doesn't like about a person is what I do like about them. And
Hmm.
I like to explore that on my podcast.
Okay, so that's why it's Sorry for What. So you're doing whatever you want to do, and it's like, sorry for what?
Yeah, like sorry for what? Like my opinion. And also it's like we live in a time where everything is so sensitive. You get canceled for everything. If someone doesn't think what you think, like we live in a time where that's just what's in. So like I wanted to create a space where it's like actually okay to go against the grain.
I like that. So are you? I know you said sorry for what, but are you ever scared of anything that you put out that's like, hey, we might have to edit this out? Because I'm pretty sure. Are you in charge of editing as well?
Yeah, I do everything you see. I do the editing. Everything you see on the page, that's all me.
Hey, I
I
love
know
it.
you know about
I
that because
love
I
it.
see your stuff too.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. But so for when you're behind the scenes, we're gonna talk more about editing. But behind the scenes, have you ever put out something that was just like, I don't know about this? Like,
Yeah, 95% of some of the things that are said on the podcast, I'm like, this could be a little crazy, but I don't really edit the things out.
okay.
I don't edit the things out. I think that's also part of being new and like unknown and talented. That some of the things we may say may be like it may be a big deal if somebody else said it, but right now because we're in the growing process, I kind of just keep it all raw there. I tell people a lot, I'm not cutting this out. So if this is what you want, then just make sure this is what you said. That's
I,
kind of known for everybody.
I love it. I love it. It's funny you said that. So I try to keep. I used to have a music podcast as well, Face the Music podcast, where I was a crazy person. I was the one saying all the crazy stuff that like it probably needs to be cut out. I'm like, nah, don't cut it out. Leave it in there. Leave it in there. You know?
Nah, leave it in there. Like it's for the people to hear. Like they should hear this. So yeah.
Yeah, because it adds the flair. So I did have an interview where I had someone on one time, and then like after a couple of days when I'm editing it, it's like, hey, can you go back and cut that out? I'm saying it wasn't even that bad. Like just
yeah, like nah. I tell people all the time, I have full control over the editing. So whatever you're gonna say, if the camera catches it, the mic catches it, like it's on there.
Hey,
I'm not editing nothing out.
I love it.
And honestly, and it makes the process too long for me when I gotta go edit and cut. Like I'm not doing all of that. What you said, you gotta stand on that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's funny. So talk about the process of editing, because do you have an editing history before this?
So I was into YouTube like crazy. Like before I decided to do a podcast, I was doing YouTube vlogs and YouTube reaction videos. Mm-hmm. So my editing with everything I do is in GarageBand too, a GarageBand and iMovie. So my editing with it it's not, I don't want to say I'm advanced because it's still fairly new. Like doing a reaction video is a lot more simple than doing a podcast because I got to export the audio, make sure the words match, stuff like that. So I don't have a crazy history with it. It's all self-taught, but it's not as hard because of my previous experience doing, reaction videos and whatnot.
Okay. And how long have you been doing those reaction videos?
I started doing that heavy in 2020.
Okay.
Or no, probably a little bit before that. Probably 2019, I started doing the reaction videos. And then I was doing the little vlogs during 2020 when basically it was nothing else to do with being in the house. And that's how I kind of got cool with it. I used to do it all from my phone. Mm-hmm. And then I got the actual laptop and I was able to, kind of excel from there. So probably you say, what is that, 3 years, roughly?
3 years, okay,
roughly
okay.
3 years.
And then what was that period of saying, yo, I want to start a podcast? Because I'm at episode 22, I believe. I know them talented. So we're basically at the same thing. So we pretty much started about in March, right?
Right, yep.
Okay.
Yep, I started end of December 22, I want to say.
Okay.
And then I had some misses because of some technical difficulties with my mics and stuff like that. So, yeah, but that's roughly the same amount.
Okay, and I know your mic is sounding better, too, by the way. I'm just going to compliment you on that. It sounded better.
Thank you. I appreciate that. At least I know I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah. So, but what was that time of you saying you went from reactions to say, now I wanted to start a podcast?
You know what? Music. I love music, so I did music for a while too. Mm-hmm. Mack So Wavy. I'm actually still streaming on all musical platforms. Hey. I did music for a very, very long time, and I just knew it started getting to the point where it was like I just love music, and I know whatever I do, I want it to be based off of that. Mm-hmm. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I want to go the musical route. So I did the reactions, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really a person who is prone to, or I did the vlogs, the reactions, but I'm not a person who's like prone to picking up their phone and recording every single thing they do. And that just seems like what it is when you're vlogging. Like I can forget to take my camera somewhere sometimes. Yeah. So I'm like, how can I still be heard and give my opinion without having it to be like something like instant? Like I can't enjoy my life because I'm literally recording every second of the day.
Yeah.
And I started listening to DJ Envy and his wife had a podcast. And I started listening to that. And I was like, dang, this is actually fire. And then it just excelled from one podcast to the next. And it was like, this is what I want to do. It was almost like it clicked in my head. Like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Wow, I like that. Hey, well, so we have a lot of things in common. Because I used to be a music producer. So I was a music producer, worked with a couple artists that were known. I have a song with Jadakiss, Tink.
Oh, that's fire.
Yeah, so
that's not like a known artist. That's like a ghost.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Yeah, which is pretty fire. But, after a while, it just wasn't moving in the right direction. And then, I just still started making like editing videos and everything like that. And then one of my friends was like, let's do a podcast. You love music. And I was just like, like hesitant to do it. And I was just like, whatever. Cause so like for you pretty much saw an example. Me, I was just like, my friend just pushed me into it. And I was just like, I'll go for the ride. And then now I love it.
Right.
Yeah. And
now you love it. You're really, really good at it too. And I think a lot of it too goes into your voice. If you have a good voice, I feel like podcasting is like the right lane. You have a pretty good voice. So.
The crazy thing about it is like, I disagree with that. I think it's like, I never would say I had a good voice. Before I started podcasting, I wouldn't say like, I had the radio voice, like listen, because it's like, it's weird hearing your voice. Like when you first do it, it's definitely weird.
It is.
So now I'm used to it. I've been hearing myself more and more. Like I know what thing, for example, one of my friends was on Instagram and they scrolling and I'm like, yo, that's me. Cause like a video.
Yeah, you have, it's like a unique sound is what I'm saying. Yeah. Like when you hear your voice, it's like, it's straight directly for you. You know what I mean? So that's dope.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But you were talking about, starting that podcast, going from music. Hold on, I lost my train of thought.
That's all right. That happens all the time. Seriously.
I'm keeping this in here too, by the way. But you were talking about moving from music by seeing those examples of starting that podcast. But I want to know, what was that day? Because a lot of times we have an idea. Like you probably heard about the DJ MV thing a couple years ago, and you was just like, I'm thinking about doing it. But what was the day you said, you know what, I'm gonna set my camera up, set my mic up, and I'm actually gonna do it?
I think the first episode that I shot. Well, honestly, so my mom, I wanted to do this podcast for years before it actually came about. In 2020, I already knew towards the end of the year I wanted to do a podcast. So that was the end of 2020. And then my mom, end of 2021 came. So it's still been a year that I've been wanting to do this podcast. And my parents, my mom and dad bought me a mic, the mic that I actually use for my podcast.
Hey.
And I was like, all right, now it's up to I got the mic, so I got to do the rest. A whole another year went by. I never did anything with the mic. It's sitting in the box. And then the day that I got my laptop, that's the first thing I did. I opened up the thing and I was like, today's the day. This was the last piece, and this is what I was going to do. So I kind of knew it, even though it was never, for those 2 years, I have notes. If I could pull up the notes on my phone where I named the podcast, I would scratch out the name or name it something else, come up with different concepts. So I already knew in those 2 years, I just had to get it right. I wanted it to be like perfect, and I had to come up with the perfect name. I wanted everything to just click, and once I got the title of Sorry for What, that's when it clicked for me.
That's fire. I love that how you said your parents actually bought you the mic, because I'm just thinking about like my mom. Like when I did music, she wasn't listening to the beats. She wasn't listening to none of the songs. The minute I started the podcast, she's like, "Oh, I like this episode." And I told you I said crazy stuff. She said, "I got to talk to you real quick." I'm just like, "Oh no."
Yeah, that's how it goes. My mom was the same with the music. Like my mom was not a fan. Like, why do you want to be a rapper? Like you could be so much more than a rapper. Like I was like, Mom, that's what I want to do. Like I want to do something. She was like, you can do other things for music. But as soon as I said podcast, she was all on board for it. Even bought the mic. When it was music, she probably doesn't even know one song that I have, honestly.
So talk about that, about how that support, how do you feel about having that support for something that you're doing? Because, growing up, we all do crazy things. And our parents are like, whatever. Even music-wise, we're like, oh, whatever. But having that support of, buying it, how do you feel about having that support from your mother?
I mean, my mom's my best friend, so I feel like her word holds a higher standard with me than probably anybody's word. So having that support and her telling me to keep going, of course, it puts the battery in my back, and I think that it makes it more worthwhile knowing that the people around me are proud of me, even if nobody else is at the time. Especially when sometimes you're looking at the views and it's like, dang, my views aren't matching like the work that I'm putting in. Yeah. But you have that support system behind you, like, no, keep going regardless of the views. They're still tuned in. They're still telling you this and that about the episode. It gives you more, it gives you more energy, I feel like, to keep it going in the beginning stages, because they're so brutal. It's so easy to just quit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I agree with you with that. I think what it is that you just have to keep going, keep perfecting it, being your toughest critic of looking at it and you say, okay, the audio doesn't sound good. I'm going to fix the audio. I'm not liking the video, fix the video. Let's try to get more organizations with the topics. Because the more and more you do it, the better you're going to get, the bigger your audience is going to be. You can't really worry about starting it from zero and thinking it's going to blow up. It's not going to happen like that. And I think that's the main thing with podcasting, is a very patient game, because you're trying to find people that want to be on Instagram, on TikTok all day to try to go and listen to something for an hour.
For an hour is crazy sometimes. It's crazy. Yeah, it is. But I think, too, that's why the little wins are so important, because, like, my last episode that I just dropped has, like, 16 plays, 16 downloads. That's kind of fire for me. That's good. Because 16 people to listen to me for an hour, it's kind of insane. Yeah. Like, an hour straight, like, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So. No, that's good. 16 is a lot. It's not going to be up there yet, but it's progression. As long as you're seeing it's going up and up. If you had the 30 and now you're seeing 16, then there's a problem.
Then there's a problem. This is what I'm saying. So as long as everything's like progressing, that's what it is.
Okay. What I want to do, I want to go back into the part where you're saying that it took you so long to actually start. So once you actually started your first episode, when did you do your second one? How long did it take you to do that second episode?
I did the second one the next week.
Okay.
My really every episode I have, I think of total, I've only missed like 4 weeks,
Okay.
and that's because my audio. One time I was on vacation. Then there was times that I shot the video, but my audio didn't pick up, so it was just I had to redo it the whole next week. But since the first episode dropped, which I think was December 22nd,
Okay.
I haven't missed a week of recording. I haven't missed a week, even if there's times I have to do it on like a day where I worked my regular job, and I still got to come in and do it. I'll do it. Once I opened up that microphone, I never really looked back. I can't really get too discouraged. I just go forward with it. So I've been pretty consistent with it the whole year.
Okay, so expand on that of the importance of starting now, because I just think about, you said 2020 you had the idea. Think about if you would have started the podcast in 2020, where would you?
I think about that all the time. Like, dang, look at how much I've accomplished. Like, even being on this another person's podcast is an accomplishment for me. Like, this is the first podcast I've ever actually been on outside of my own, which is fire.
Yeah.
But that's an accomplishment for me, and it's like, dang, I did this already in the first 6 months. If I would have did this, I think about that all the time. If I would have did this 2 years ago, but the thing about it is, 2 years ago I wasn't this patient. 2 years ago I wasn't this consistent. 2 years ago I wasn't this dedicated. So if I would have did it 2 years ago, it would have just been a flop. It wouldn't have been something that I stuck with, because I had to grow into the kind of person that's wanting to put in the work, if that makes sense.
Well, I love that.
Yeah.
So expand on that about having to grow into a certain person, because for me, I have a lot of growth that I'm doing. Basically, this podcast is about helping people grow into the person that they want to be.
Right.
For me, I pretty much right now I'm 31. I was living with my parents. And,
Really?
Yeah, 30. I'm old.
Crazy. I thought you were like 25, 20, maybe 24. Okay, all right.
I appreciate it. So for me, like, where I saw growth is basically I was living with my parents until I was about 28, still chasing my dream. And then, like, after a while, I was like, you know what, it's time to grow up. And then the minute I moved out, the amount of growth that I had from 28 to 29 was a big jump. And then to where I'm at now, where I'm able to talk to people, motivate people, get people on my show, it's a big growth. So talk about the growth for you of that 2020 version of you of not having that patience, not trying to, I don't know. Well, just explain, because I don't know where you were at 2020, but just talk about expand on that. Yeah.
So end of 2020, I had been preparing to move to Atlanta. I live in Florida. I said that already, but I had been preparing to move to Atlanta. And because to me, Atlanta was where I had to go to accomplish the things that I wanted to accomplish. Like, it was, for me at that time, it was like, how can I put myself in a position to be around other people who want the things that I want? Because nobody here was talking about a podcast. Nobody here was talking about, even music-wise, everybody just wanted to be the biggest in the city. Nobody wanted to be, grow further than that. So I was like, let me just move to Atlanta with some like-minded people. I did that in January of 2021. I moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
February of 2021, my brother passed away. My little brother. So I came back home, and I was like, I remember feeling like no matter what happens, I always end up right back here, same spot, my mom's couch. Always, like always. And what could I do to make sure this never happens to me again? Even under the circumstances, obviously losing my brother, which is a whole nother thing. You go through that grief and whatnot. So I was just spent that year on my mom's couch. Like, what am I gonna do to not have to be back here again? That was the battery in my back. Then after that, we had to move from the house that we had, like that my mom had. So basically everything shook up for me, and I was really put in a position of sink or swim. And I just had to, I was sinking at first, but I just had to learn how to stay afloat. And that is really what made me, I think, grow, because it made me realize that, dang, no matter, anything can happen. You got to have yourself. You got to have your best interest at heart. You got to be able to fall back on you. So that's what I did. I just took everything I learned in those years, and I just put it into full circle, make it full circle make sense for me.
Wow. No, that's deep. That's amazing. Wow. What?
Yeah, it was a lot, but it's like I don't know. I feel like all of that, when people say everything happens for a reason, you really learn. Like, I feel like at each episode I do of this podcast that I progress, I had to go through all of that to be able to do it. Or like I said, I wouldn't have did it.
Okay. Well, that's powerful. I'm happy you're able to, start this and keep growing. But what I want to do, I want to talk more about your podcast. It is a music podcast. Basically, you just talk about like your current events and stuff. So, talking about music, what do you think the state of music is in right now?
We just talked about this.
And that's why I asked you. That's why I asked you.
I was right. Music right now is passionless. Nobody has passion for it anymore. Everybody just wants to have fun. Everybody just wants to be lit right now. Everything's for the right now. I feel like at a point in time in music, it was built to last. Like people want it to last. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if people want to do that anymore. People just want to get lit, get right now, live in the moment, and that's you can feel it in the music. It's not the same.
No,
it's not the same. Like when we first got J. Cole, them boys was rapping about who they were gonna be in 5 years from now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then you get rappers like Glorilla say, shit, I don't need a credit score. I might be rich as fuck tomorrow. Like it's people who just don't care about nothing else but right now, and I think that's it shows.
So what are your? No, I definitely agree. I think I was even just talking about the other day of, TikTok, like kind of, I'm not saying TikTok messed everything up, but everybody's just trying to follow a trend. Whatever's hot at this moment, they're going to follow it. I think at the moment when J. Cole and Drake and even Kendrick, when they were starting, they were more talking about what they were going through on how they're going to grow. But that's not going to be really hot right now. Nobody wants to talk about, I think one of the J. Cole songs was talking about being on overdrafts. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to make a song about overdraft, So like
nobody's doing it anymore. Everybody's making a song about fraud and this and that. It's just, it's not the same.
No, it's definitely not the same. So who are some of your influences then in music then, since you're not liking what's going on now?
Drake, of course, I literally have the OVO owl tattooed on my arm.
Hey.
You can see it, but Drake is literally like number one for me. Jay-Z, I grew up a lot on the Jay-Z in the house. Wayne, I think is incredible, which he gave us Drake, so that's incredible in itself. Who else rapping growing up? I listened to so many different rap. Big Pun, Biggie, like growing up, being in that era of New York, like Dipset music. But then I got like, I moved here, so I got the Young Jeezy and the T.I. and even Plies. I feel like people don't speak on him enough.
Okay.
But he changed Florida music forever in a sense. So I guess I'm full rounded. I really listen to everything. But if you hand me the ox, I'm putting on Drake.
Yeah. Now, I definitely see why people say, you're New York. You're talking about some Big Pun, Biggie. I can see.
Yeah, like that's the kind of music I grew up listening to. Wu-Tang, like my dad played that in the car a lot. Yeah. So that's really my childhood soundtrack.
That's crazy. Me, I wasn't a big fan of Wu-Tang, and I'm still not a big fan.
No, I don't like them.
Okay.
I don't like them.
Okay.
You'll never catch me putting it on, but I know the songs. So.
Yeah. Because I try, like being a music producer, you have to like study so many different sounds. So I tried to listen to it. I'm like, everybody says Wu-Tang is so fire. Hopefully the people don't kill me for this one. But I'm just like, I don't see it. Yeah.
I don't got it. I don't get it. I love Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Jay-Z. I argue about Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Some people don't like Jay-Z, but I'll go to war.
Nah, Jay-Z's fire. People just be hating.
Right.
What else I want to talk about? Music. So what kind of music did you make? Are you still making music, by the way?
I actually just wrote a rap not too long ago. I'll do it every once in a while for some like lyrical exercises.
Okay.
The last song I think I dropped though was November of 22.
Okay.
It was called Be Careful What You Wish For. But I'm a person who I make the best music when I'm going through the roughest times.
Mm-hmm.
And life's been pretty good lately, I'm not gonna lie. So it's been hard for me to like get in that bag. I don't like making like pointless music. I like all my music to make like sense.
Yeah.
So
no, that's good.
I haven't.
God, I'm sorry.
I haven't really got too much back into the music like crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's good. If you only make music when you're going through something, I'd rather you not make music because that means you're not going through something. So
exactly. It means I'm not going through something, or I don't want to put out trash either. Like I'm not really a fan. So.
Okay. So how was your musical history helping you out with the podcast?
So honestly, a lot, because it's like I still get to do music, but it's like this is not like doing music, but I love recording. I love having on the headset. I love being on the mic. So I get that with the podcast, and my musical experience being in the studio, watching engineers break it down, chop it down, do this, do that. That helps me edit the vocals on the podcast too, which I feel like I should have probably paid more attention to that, considering that my sound be a little off sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's getting a little bit better, and I'm learning a little bit more from behind the scenes.
Okay. Oh, so you don't edit the vocals then? You said somebody else edits them?
No, I do edit them, but it's just not the best.
Oh.
I'm trying to get better at it, so I should have paid more attention to that kind of stuff when I was in the studio.
Well, what parts of it are you not? Because I edit everything, so I just want to see what parts do you need help with.
I feel like I can make it sound more like a podcast, if that makes sense. Like, I need a little intro. I don't really know how to make an intro, how to put it in there. I am good with transitions, though. Like, I know that, like, when it's time for me to wrap it up, I can wrap it up pretty good. But the editing, I just want to make it sound more professional, like, if that makes sense. It doesn't really be sounding.
It sounds. The last episode sound good.
It could just be because of how I feel about my voice.
Yeah. No, the last episode sounded perfect. Did you not think the last episode was good?
No, I did, and I think that it sounds better with the mic. But I don't really edit it. I just master it down, and then I go from there. That's why if I feel like I could adjust the volumes a little bit more, but I could just be my own critic. I could just be my worst critic.
Yeah, because it's honestly with podcasting, because me, even when I made beats, I edited I mixed down all the sounds and stuff, but that's really most of the mixes. And when you're making a song, they have the background, the ad-libs and all that. Right. When you're doing a podcast, it's a straight audio. So the only thing you really have to do is take a part of it, edit it. I mean, you might have to EQ it a little bit. You might have to add, you don't even add reverb. I don't even add reverb. You have to compress it. Then you add the mastering, and that's it. It's done.
And that's it. Okay.
Yeah, because
well, then maybe I'm not doing that bad. Maybe I feel like I should be doing better because of the music, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same listening experience.
No, it's not. And because even with the compressor, that's going to make it even throughout the whole thing. So you're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to put that in there for everybody. Think I don't know what I'm talking about out here. I do this.
Yeah, that was just a good game. That was a good game. Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Of course. So the reason why I asked you that is because I think about, Joe Budden, how he was into music and he's so successful with this podcast. Where do you see your podcast going?
There is no better podcaster on that level than Joe Budden. I want to say that. Mm-hmm. Joe Budden is the GOAT of the podcasting thing. And he's probably the person who made me, I don't want to say made me, but he's one of my influences musical-wise too, because he was able to turn from a failed rapper, which I guess people feel like he's a failed rapper.
Pump It Up was fire. I ain't gonna lie.
Pump It Up was gas. Pump It Up was gas, yeah. But I guess based off of that, where I see my podcast going is exactly on that level. And what I love about it is that he's able to do that with his friends. Those are his friends, and I think that makes a lot of it so much easier. Which I know he did have another set of people doing it first with him. But even then, like, I think why he was able to just transition into another crew and make it that great was because it was with his friends. And that's kind of what I want. I want to just love what I do and love the people that I do it with. So I see my podcast doing just that, or going above that on another, you know what I'm saying, on a higher level. A musical podcast. I want it to be music, but I also want to do like Breakfast Club, like TV, syndicated radio kind of thing. Okay. So those are really my goals.
I love it. You did make a good point doing it with your friends. I used to have a podcast with my friends. It was fun, but it's also difficult. So you are doing it with your friends, with one of your friends. Actually, he's on there and somebody also does something in the background as well, or?
Yeah, so the person in the background is my girlfriend. We call her PR. We always hear her say PR in the back, PR in the back, Yeah, so it's like almost like doing it. It's like natural, you know what I'm saying? It's just like a regular day. So, but it could be a little bit difficult at times.
Okay, so PR, she was talking a lot the last episode. Why doesn't she have a mic? Why doesn't she have a mic? Like, why is she not on the?
Because I don't know. I don't really know why she doesn't have a mic. I want to get her a mic. I said that on this next episode that we're gonna get her a mic.
Yeah.
Probably I'm gonna set up my phone and put on this little mic and put her in the background. Yeah. Like you watch Rory and Mal?
I don't watch Rory and Mal anymore. I don't watch it anymore.
Okay, well, how they always have their people in the background in the cut that do what they do, but they still are attached to the show.
Yeah.
That's the kind of vibe that I want to set up in here.
Yeah, because she's had some good points. So I'm just like, wait a minute, why is she screaming for the background?
She always got good points. She always has really, really, really good points. She was on the episode herself.
Yeah.
before.
Oh, okay.
Episode 10, I want to say it was,
Okay.
and she does really, really
Yeah,
good.
please get her a mic. I'm gonna say I don't know if she can listen to it, but make sure you're gonna get a mic next time because of me.
Yeah, she's gonna get a mic next time. Next show, all right. The people want her to have a mic. We're gonna get her a mic.
But yeah, but I want to go back into having it with friends. So I did it with friends, and I think the hard thing about doing something with friends or like even starting a business with friends is that you see your friends as one way, but then now you're forced to speak to them a lot more. So I'm not sure the relationship you have with your co-host, but my friends, I went to college with them. We talk every now and then. Now we do a podcast. We have to talk every single week. And now I'm like, I'm demanding something out of you now. Okay, I want you to come here, do what you got to do. So now you come here and like the show is not really right. It's just like, it's a kind of a different relationship. So how is that relationship with you and your co-host?
I think you gotta really, the number one thing is they gotta want it as bad as you want it. You know what I'm saying? If they don't want it like you, it's gonna become difficult because they're not basically working as hard as you are. Mm-hmm. My boy does music still to this day. Like he's about to drop a tape. So as far as the work ethic of it, it's straight. There's some things that he's not gonna do. And there's some things that he is going to do. But I know that about him, so I feel like that balances it out too, in a sense. Like, for example, like the editing. He ain't going to do the editing. He don't really know how to do all of that. But I don't take it personal because he asked me to edit a video for him for his music before. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just hold him to the accountability of the things that he's able to do. And then I feel like if there's ever a point where we don't have that agreement, then it will be time to separate. But outside of that, the conversations that we have is no different than how we text in a phone. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't talk all day, every day, but we've always talked in a sense of if we see something, we chopping it up on the phone. Like, what you think about this? Like, that is the basis of our friendship. You feel me? So it makes it a lot easier to do the podcast because I already know probably what he's thinking this is how we already chat. So it works it out.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I love it. Just make sure what I would say is just actually doing it with my friends. What I wish we would have done different is make sure that we have time together outside of the podcast, because pretty much you're talking to somebody each week. You're like, okay, I don't have to talk to you anymore. So like I wish we'd had like times where we would like hang out or went out, get something to eat, or did something else that had nothing to do with podcast. Yeah, nothing to do with business. So it's just like more of a we're here to work, but we're also friends in doing that. We didn't really do too much of that. We're still friends. We're no beef or nothing, but it's just that.
Right. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. It's just strictly business is kind of hard to kind of go from a friends to strictly business. It's like, it's not going to really work.
Right. I got you. And I guess with me and my boy, it's not like strictly business, but the friendship we always had was always business inspired because we met doing music. Mm-hmm. So we are friends, we cool, but we always are focused on like talking about business at the same aspect.
Gotcha.
You feel me? But I wouldn't say that either. There's times, we check on each other like, bro, you good? Haven't heard from you in a while. You know what I mean? So I guess that's the difference. It is a little bit different when it's straight business versus when it's a little personal business.
I like that. So we're going to talk about business. I want to talk about your hat you have on your head. I'm going to let you introduce it.
Yeah. So this is, I'm going to take my hat off real quick just to show it a little bit more. Yeah. Wavy Caps. This is my my hat. I really wanted it to be called Wavy hat, Wavy Fitteds, but they snap in the back, so I had to make it work to where I could do a little bit of both. Okay. But anyway, yeah, this is my second hat. This is the graduation release. I had the very first release, which was the Sorry for What. It was baby blue and red. I started this in 2022 as well, and I love hats. I always have on a hat, even on my podcast. Before I started wearing these hats, I was always wearing a hat, and then I was like, I talked to my girl thinking about a business that I could start to where I could make money quicker. Because the podcast, you spend a lot of money versus making something. Yeah. So I'm like, what could I use quicker to get some money? And that was more up my alley. And I came up with the concept of the hat. I made the design, the sticker, this right here I got made.
Hey, so, yeah. That's fire. We'll talk about that process, because I always wanted to start a clothing brand. I still haven't done it, and you're lucky you're doing it. Well, what is that process of starting with the logo, starting with getting it printed, having a website?
Right. So clothes is crazy. Clothes is what my girl suggested to me at first, because I love to dress, but dressing other people is just not my thing. Okay. Clothes is a lot that goes into that. The hats was a little bit more simple because You find a vendor who can make the hats at a larger production. I was able to do that. I had a really good vendor that I was able to contact. And then the logo I made myself right on my fingertips. The power of your iPhone is unbelievable. I just want to say that a lot of things, like, you think you have to wait till you have more stuff, but you can really just do it with your phone. I got on Canva. I typed in W because I go by Mack So Wavy. I typed in a W. They gave me some different W's. I found this one. I added the drip to it. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me see if I can find someone who can create a mock-up. I happened to find someone who could do that. I took that mock-up to the vendor, said I need this on hats, and we went from there. And the first ones went like crazy. And that was just that.
Wow.
I really look back. I'm about to drop my third release here shortly. Another collab with the photographer. We're about to get that going.
Hey, that's fire. Okay, all right. I don't wear hats. I ain't gonna lie, I don't wear hats. My head is a little too big to wear hats, but hey, if I ever change my mind, I'm gonna get a hat.
You can definitely hit me up if you ever change your mind.
All right.
www.wavycaps.co.
Gotcha. So how do you? I don't want you to give all your people away, but how do you find that vendor? How do you find the person that does the mock-ups? How do you find all of that?
Yeah, so honestly, I had to look online. Just a lot of online shopping, like hat vendors, and you click around and you find it. And literally, you just click it, you find someone you like, you contact them, and then hopefully they get back to you. I had a lot of people not get back to me.
Yikes.
But they get back to you and they sell it to you. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. It's simple, but it's time consuming.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So basically, what if I wanted to start a hat business and I wanted to call it Wavy Caps? I can just type it in.
Yeah, you'll type in like hat vendors or hat or I'll type in hat in large in like bulk, hats in bulk.
Okay.
And then after that the websites pop up. And I don't really know the direct website, I'm not gonna lie to you, or else I would tell you.
Yeah, that's cool.
But you click it, you email the person, and then I went back and forth on the email with them for a very long time actually. And a lot of them are on different times, so it's weird how you contact them because the people who are doing this are from another country. And they finally contacted me. They send you an invoice, and that it just goes from there. Literally that simple. They sent me videos of them making the hats and everything like that, so I knew it was official. And then I got the hats in the mail.
Okay, that's fire. I love it. That's really cool. They send you videos and stuff. That's fire.
Yeah, I requested the videos though. Like,
okay.
Hey, can you send me videos? Like, show me the hats as you're making them. Only because I didn't want them to send me a certain number of hats and I hated all of them. I want you to show me as soon as you know what I mean? I want to make sure it's right.
Okay, so do you have any like business background? Because it seems like you know what you're doing out here. Because me, if I'm starting shirts, send me 100 of them shirts.
Not really. I sold a lot of merch. So like I sold, like when I was doing music, I sold merch that didn't really sell.
Okay.
So that's really how I know that I don't want a whole lot of them because I need to be able to sell them and get them off. I'm just like a little bit smarter in that aspect because I still got shirts that I never sold that I just wore over and over and over again. So like an episode of SpongeBob, I was wearing the same shirts every single day. But outside of that, I was like, I wanted to do that a little bit different. I wish I would have got a little bit more hats. My hats sold a little bit more than, like, I almost underestimated myself a little bit. So.
And how'd you get them sold? What'd you do?
I luckily I did a lot of online sales on Shopify, which is another thing too. You get the hats, you upload them to Shopify. That's really self-explanatory. You create a domain, or you buy a domain, which I bought mine from. Who did I buy it from? GoDaddy.
Yeah.
Where you get the domain. You link that to your Shopify. And Shopify is really easy. It helps you set it up exactly what you want to do in the store. Also time consuming though. I had to play around a lot with it to get that straight. And then that was it. I sold them online, and then a lot of them came from, I did a live podcast event where I set up like a tent and, I did all of that.
Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on. Live podcast event. What happened? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I did that. It was called Smoke Fest. Shout out my boy, Q Money. He has a production. Like, a lot of this is people I've learned from music too, doing music with them. A long time ago, he did like my first logo that I ever had on an album.
Okay.
And then he expanded into doing events. He's like on his Issa Rae shit where he puts these events together in the city. And he was like, yo, I would love to have you for production. And I was like, oh, that'd be dope. I'm actually about to do another one soon too. And I set up the tent there. I brought some of my hats, and of course, people love to be on camera, especially these people. They're rappers. They're there to perform, put on the show. After, come kick it with Sorry for What. They did that, and yeah, it was actually fantastic.
That's fire.
And that's where I sold a lot of the hats because they supported what I had going on.
So do you have enough hats ready for the second event?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
good.
I have double the hats because I still have some hats from the first collection. I still have some hats from here.
Okay.
And hopefully my vendor can get me my third round out by the time that I do that. Because then I'll do a pop-up shop too. I'll start doing more things like pop-up shops here and there.
Listen, you moving. I'm happy we actually had this conversation. I'm thinking it was just podcast stuff. Your story is great. I love your story. I love you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Quick idea for you though. So with podcasting, pretty much a lot of times we make money with advertisements where people would say, "Oh, buy blah 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 blah" in the middle of it.
Right.
An idea. You don't have to do it if you. This is an idea I thought about just talking to you here. You can say, "Hey, you wear hats." Wavy Caps.
Right, Wavy Caps. I'm trying to start, and this is what I'm saying, I have to get better with the editing because I want to start doing those kind of things in the podcast.
Okay.
But I want to transition to where it actually sounds like a real ad. You know, when you're listening to podcasts, you know when they're doing an ad.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let's pay these bills, and then they'll do a crazy ad or something like that.
Yeah.
I want to start getting into that. I'm trying to figure out how to
do it. Okay, I got you. I could tell. I haven't made an ad or anything, but I can tell you what you need to do after the show.
Okay.
All right, I got you.
That works.
But yeah, I appreciate you sitting down with me. Any last minute words, any inspiration, any stories you can think of you want to tell the audience before we go?
Last minute words. Let me think, man. Just believe in yourself and stay true to you. That's the best words that I could give, really. Stay true to yourself always. That's why this podcast means so much to me, because I made sure that I was doing something that felt true to me. I could have did music, but and not that it wasn't true to me, but music requires a lot of persona, and I think you just get further you get a lot further when you're true to yourself, and when you know what I'm saying, believe in you, and when that's it, man. You just stay 10 toes to yourself and just know who you are and what you're about, and don't worry about where you've been, because it's really about where you're going, you feel me? And enjoy every piece of the journey. Don't spend so much time trying to figure it out now, because you're gonna look up and you didn't even enjoy the now. It's just gonna be time for the then, you feel me? If that's the best advice. But outside of that, no, man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, because again, I'm a fan of all your content. Your content is super fire.
Appreciate it.
And we got to do this vice versa. Now that you've showed me how to do this, I can figure out how to do it vice versa, and then you can come on.
Hey, let's do it. But real quick, guys, we got to pay the bills. If you wear hats, go ahead.
If you wear, I love it. If you wear hats, www.wavycaps.co. Make sure you go get you one. It's red on the inside, says "Stay Wavy" on the inside. It's actually a pretty dope hat. I'm not just saying that because it's mine. And again, thank you for having me on Unknown and Talented. It's been fire.
Perfect. I appreciate it. My name is Jelon Abrams.
My name's Mack So Wavy.
Unknown and Talented. We'll see you next week.
All right, man.